It is 11 o'clock. Welcome back. It's hour number 2 of Three Man Front. We're live at Social Taco, and we're happy to be joined here on site. It's always a pleasure when Nick Kelly drops by to see us here in Homewood at Social Taco. Hey, Nick, how are you?
Hey, Nick. Good to be with you. Good to get out of the house, frankly. Getting a little feral this time of year.
Is that the only reason that you want to come see us is an excuse to get out of the house?
That and to see Conrad, to be honest.
Really?
That's it.
Just feel better about yourself? Is that it?
That's it. No, I felt bad for Conrad over there with the mic, so I figured I'd give him a little something.
I appreciate it. That's all I need to keep going is just a little something, Nick.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We were joking. We were going to commercial break before you came up the stairs to join us, and we were kind of joking around that it appears that Nate Oates' contract is now going to be discussed amongst the Board of Trustees. Kind of interesting how all this happens. You have the Chicago Bulls head coach deciding this morning that he is going to step away. That would be Billy Donovan. So Nate Oates, being from the upper Midwest, Chicago Bulls, is there some smoke there?
I feel like
Can we create some smoke?
We're reaching. Yeah, I was gonna say we're reaching the stamp. You know, the whole like, hey, a job came open, Kalen DeBoer, kind of like we had last fall type of deal. I still don't think NBA yet. Even if Nate hadn't signed his contract yet, I don't know if that's quite yet where it's at. I do think that's what's next for Nate Oates. Most likely is the NBA
down the road.
But I think at this point you kind of have to look at it year by year. He signed this new contract. It's, of course, on the Board of Trustees' agenda for tomorrow. But that's really a rubber stamping anyway. That's not – they're really going to think about it. It's not finalized yet. Like, that is a rubber stamp, you know, all right, next kind of thing. So I don't think that the timing of that has anything to do with Billy Donovan.
But I thought if we were doing musical chairs, right, we've got Billy Donovan goes back to Florida, then Golden goes to Golden State, but Steve Kerr – tries to rekindle the magic with the Bulls, and he takes over that job.
Maybe so. I mean, look, you can connect the dots. I mean, if Golden leaves and Billy Donovan goes home, and I mean, there's so many leagues where you see coaches who leave or get fired from one job professionally, and then they just kind of cycle them through, especially the NHL. Those guys cycle through like nothing else. But NBA, you could do that as well. Maybe Steve Kerr wants to go to Chicago, so – completely speculative on my part, but kind of fun to think about some musical chairs there.
Well, the reality is Nate Oates doesn't want to leave Drew Fielder because he's going to be a dominant force in the SEC this year, Nick, and so he can't pass that up.
I think that might be their best pickup so far. I mean, you talk about a guy who's averaging double digits, granted at Boise State, but, I mean, a big who's shooting 40% from three.
Where does he compare to Grant Nelson?
I mean, did Grant hit that? I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I don't think
he did.
No, he did.
And Grant was a great player for him, but he had also kind of had a funky shot from three. Like, it looked a little different. And, I mean, a little bit I've seen a Fielder. Like,
he
looks
good.
pretty good. So,
and he has a goatee.
I mean, what more can you ask for?
He's got chin hair, so that's already – he's ahead of Grant Nelson.
And tattoos. So
he's got tattoos. I mean, like, this guy –
he's got a little edge to it.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be a great piece for them because they can play him at the 4 or the 5. And then – because they got several bigs, you could put Brandon Garrison at the 5 and you put Fielder at the 4. And if he is what they have needed at the 4. They didn't get from Bull Bowen. They kind of had it with Nelson at times. But if he can be that almost full-time 4 and do what they need from him at that spot, that's an exciting, just versatile chess piece.
I was curious, though, and sorry, Pat, I'm jumping in, but Aiden Sherrill, him leaving, was it just decided that the market's so upside down and he was going to get crazy money that Alabama was just prepared to say, hey, thanks, but we're not willing to do that?
I think they pursued him, and I think conversations were had, and a deal was certainly talked about. But I think at a certain point when a guy – and I don't know what he officially got. Of course, you see numbers thrown around. But just with the big-name programs with deep pockets that were after him, and we had heard about this. I mean, I had heard about this before the season even ended, that programs with deep pockets were expected to come after him. And that came to fruition. And so I think what you have to do in this current era, just like you do in, say, the NFL for certain players or for NBA, whatever it might be, like you have to look at it and say, okay, this guy is worth this much to us. Like, we like him. He's a good player. Obviously, they like Aiden Sherrill. He did good things, and I still don't think he's reached his full potential. But at a certain point, you kind of have to say, this is what we're willing to spend. Maybe we go a little bit over that. But if it really pushes several $1 million over that, at what point do you say, hey, we can go get these guys who maybe aren't quite as good, or maybe they are as good. Maybe they even turn out to be better. for less money, I think it's a value kind of decision you have to make. And so I don't think it always means either you're rich or you're poor kind of thing in the transfer portal, no matter if it's this situation or another situation. I just think you have to essentially look at what do we think this guy's worth, and because you have a finite number of dollars to spend.
Do you believe right now, and I would assume based on their activity in the transfer portal, that you believe that Amari Allen is not coming back, that he will go through the whole process and ultimately he will keep his name in for the NBA draft?
I'm not sure about that, to be honest with you. I could see it going either way.
And do they have the money to bring him back?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, I have not gotten any indication that they wouldn't. And
Okay.
I truly believe that he is going to get good feedback and see what, or unless he gets good feedback, I should say, that he's going to come back. Like,
Okay.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't, to be honest.
Okay.
Or I shouldn't say surprised if he doesn't come back. I'm putting all these conditions on it. I'll be surprised if, say the feedback is you're maybe a first-round pick, that he doesn't come back to Alabama, if that makes sense. So I think that if he gets good first round, hey, you're going to be a lock for the first round, he would probably go out for the draft. If he doesn't get that, I think he has the LeBaron Filan example of, hey, look what can happen when you come back. And so I think there's a very real scenario where he does either one, and we'll just have to see what happens.
As far as roster management, and I know the court and the legal process has to make its way, but are we still saving room for one guard who could be rejoining the team?
Assuming that guard is Aiden Holloway, yes. I would assume that assuming can be a tricky spot. But the portal closes the end of today, and if his name was not in that, then, yeah, he's coming back to Alabama. So that to me, of course, has to clear those legal hurdles. He has to clear the things he has to clear. But I've always gotten the indication that so long as that happens, the door is open to him returning. And, again, if by the end of today he does not put the paperwork in, of course sometimes you hear about that later on, where a day or two later you can hear about it. If he doesn't go in the transfer portal, then, yeah, I mean, he's back at Alabama.
So this is tricky because you just talked about Amari Allen, don't know about his status, or Holloway. What kind of numbers right now in terms of roster? How many spots are left to fill for Nate Oates?
Yeah, I haven't counted the exact tally yet because I was kind of waiting until the end of today. But
Like 3, 4?
Yeah, because they have up to 15, right, is the roster total. And I forget the exact number they're at. But could they add another guard if they wanted? I think that would make sense. But at the same time, I don't think it's absolute or something that they have to do. So I could see maybe one more transfer portal ad. I've heard different things. I've heard they might be done. I've heard that they could still add. So we'll see what happens. I can see both scenarios. But I think a lot of the additions are likely – you might see one at max at this point. I think that they're getting close to what their roster would look like.
Has there been a surprise in that basketball building with the turnovers so far in the roster? Whether I know you mentioned that the conversations about Sherelle, those rumors were happening during this season, so to speak. But was there any other surprises from the people that you talked to around the basketball program, from who got into the transfer portal or, I guess, the turnover?
Not really. I mean, because who else is it? Taylor Bowen. Mm-hmm. You also had Davian Hannah. You also had
Bethea.
Yeah, I mean, so none of those guys, at least I saw, that were terribly expendable, or I should say that they weren't. They were expendable to me, and I think that they could probably improve on what those guys offered. Davian Hannah, I think his potential's good, and I would have liked to see more from him, but I don't think any of those guys other than Sherelle, to me, was going to be a surprise to see them enter the transfer portal. And I thought there might even be some more that are looking at this point. And, again, we're talking on the last day of the portal being open. I certainly expected maybe a couple more guys I thought could go in. They wouldn't have surprised me, but they didn't. And so at this point, other than Sherelle, there's no one that I think is like, oh, man, like that's a guy that either they didn't see coming or that they had to keep.
Nick Kelly, who covers Alabama Crimson Tide, AL.com, joining us here live from Social Taco in Homewood. Just for budgetary purposes, and you have finance committees, and they're trying to set, how much money is going to be appropriated for the next year. For NIL, for the collective, it almost seems like you have to go a little bit above, like add 10%, because you don't know what the market's going to do by the time it rolls around. What could that number potentially look like as a whole for the collection of the roster reported around $8 million this year. Some programs spending as much as 20. Where does Alabama fall?
It's a good question. It gets so tricky when you try to nail down an exact number. I mean, yes, this past year, $8 million was the number I'd reported. I think others had reported as well. They're in that neighborhood. And I also reported that it's expected to increase. So what the exact number looks like, I've heard different things, so I don't want to speculate too much. But it seems to be in a really healthy spot because they would not be adding, 3 bigs if they were house poor or something like that, or if they didn't have.
They're not cheap.
No, they're not. And even ones that aren't, top of the line, like, hey, this guy's getting pursued by every single program, like that's still going to cost you several $1 million.
It's like a backup DT, defensive tackle or defensive lineman. We got guys getting $500,000 that it's like, really, for him?
Yeah. I mean, any of these bigs that is going to the transfer portal and has people after them are likely going to cost you a couple $1 million to get. And the high end is probably somewhere in the $4 to $5 million range. And, I mean, that's a lot to spend on one player. But still, even to get just everyone wants bigs. Everyone sees how having multiple on your roster can help you a lot. And so those are, I guess, multi-million-dollar investments that cost a good bit. So Alabama's not getting those guys if they're not in a good spot financially.
So I think Nate Oates has done a really good job of, I guess you would say, getting more with less because they're not at the top end with Kentucky. Is there maybe a belief? You said the money's healthy, but maybe we don't have to go to that high end of what the NIL would look like because Nate's done such a good job of finding a guy like a Fielder maybe he is better than an Aiden Sherrill, right? Maybe you get more production out of that. Does that kind of play into maybe where they spend their money overall from the athletic department?
I think if you're a coach, you almost don't want the top budget because with that comes expectations, comes pressure. And for Kentucky, you're seeing some of the penalties of when you have, let's just say that $22 million number that's been reported, $20 to $22 million, if that is in fact accurate, well, we've heard it, players have heard it, agents have heard it, and so then almost in some ways that pressure that not only you face from having that kind of investment, but also from these players in the market knowing, well, hey, don't you have $22 million? Why can't you pay me 5 or 4? Yeah. So you don't necessarily want to be in that spot. I do think you want to be somewhere probably like top 25 budget.
Yeah.
Because then if you're a good coach, you'll have enough talent as long as you hit on those guys, because as Nick Saban has said, if you don't pay the right guys, you're out of luck. As long as you hit on some guys, you should be able to compete for a national championship. And so I don't think you have to be the top budget. I just think you want to be in a healthy spot. And for all indications, Alabama is.
That is Nick Kelly from AL.com joining us here live on site. You can join us, too, here at Social Taco. Big crowd coming up here on the Taco Terrace. It's because Nick Kelly. Are you signing autographs during commercial breaks?
Look,
did you bring your headshots?
The agreement was to not do that. I just came for the appearance. I did not agree to that.
I mean, look at the crowd. Look what's happening here.
Topping up here.
It is.
We have glossies for you. Don't worry, Nick. We got you covered.
The place to be.
We need controversy and scandal in the next hour. Give it to us.
I don't know if I can deliver that, but I was having flashbacks to when Nick Saban would do Hey Coach. He would do, each commercial break, Cedric would bring a bunch of stuff to autograph and be signing thing after thing after thing, and he was just rapid fire. And I think Kalen DeBoer is the same thing. But when you're the media guest next to Nick Saban, man, he just, look, autograph after autograph.
There's a lady bringing her baby in. She's got a Sharpie.
He made me look. So
yeah. All right, Nick Kelly will hang out with us a little while longer as we talk some Alabama football coming up next. It's also NFL Draft Week. Where's Ty Simpson and Caden Proctor going to end up? We'll ask Nick that next on Three Man Front.
Welcome back in, three-man front on a glorious, beautiful Tuesday that the Lord has made. We're live at Social Taco here in the Taco Terrace. Our buddy Nick Kelly covers all things Alabama, AL.com. We'll talk NFL draft and the potential of where does one Caden Proctor go, also Ty Simpson, and we'll get into spring football. So glad that Nick joining us here with our friends at Social Taco. Right down the street is Mandu, and that's the pulse of fitness. It's electrical muscle stimulation fitness. I've been talking about it for several years here on Jocks, and the reason why is it works, and the reason why is our great Jocks listeners have taken me up on the offer to go into the studio of Mandu, located conveniently in downtown Homewood. They'll put you through the 15-minute workout. At 15 minutes, all FDA approved, it's the equivalent to 6 hours in a gym. It's a normal workout, but because of that technology, 15 minutes, and you're going to get the results like you've been grinding in the gym for the last 6 hours. First visit's free. Go to Mandu. Paul and his training staff, they do a wonderful job. Just great folks. I wouldn't recommend you if they didn't. MANDUU.com. That's MANDUU.com. First visit free. Go through the workout. If you stick with Mandu, I promise you're going to get results. Always tell Paul and the gang that Landrum from Jocks sent you.
Nick Kelly from AL.com continues to join us here at Social Taco. Very nice crowd. Appreciate everybody joining us here at Social Tacos. They do each and every Tuesday. Nick, the NFL draft coming up on Thursday night. Alabama, the football program, has been on an incredible run, having multiple players taken in the NFL draft. Most people believe Caden Proctor, not Ty Simpson, is a lock to be a first-rounder, whether he's middle first round or maybe back end of the first round. Ty Simpson, in your opinion, I know there's a lot of storylines of what potentially would have to happen for him to go to a certain place that would fit him and fit his skill set, but in your opinion, do you think Bama gets 1, 2, or maybe 3 players in the first round on Thursday night?
Yeah, because those 3 would be what? Ty, Caden Proctor, and Jeremy Bernard.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that you'll see Ty and Jeremy for sure go by the end of day 2.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely a world where they don't. And I think it's so fascinating with Ty and quarterbacks because, I mean, there's no other quarterback other than Fernando Mendoza that would get drafted over him. But at the same time, teams like the Steelers, for example, that was a team that not so much recently, but at one point was connected to Ty a good bit. They got burnt by taking Kenny Pickett in, I think it was the 23 draft, and like he was the only quarterback, I think, taken in that first round. They needed a quarterback, but you want to make sure you take the right one. And I'm a believer in Ty. I think he's a good player. He obviously doesn't have a lot of starting experience relative to what like scouts and NFL teams typically want in a starting quarterback that they draft. But coach's kid, really smart, cerebral guy who has made some NFL throws. And so does a team take a flyer on him? Does a team trade up? Like, I'm really fascinated to see the 32nd pick because the Seahawks have it. They need draft picks. I think they have 4 draft picks, I think I saw.
Yeah.
And so they are willing to trade. So that is a primetime spot where if a team wants to come and get Ty in the first round, that might be a spot to do it. Because the other thing to note between the first and second round, the first round is the 5-year option type of deal that comes with that. Second round, that doesn't happen. So if a team wants to get a quarterback on essentially a 5-year deal, they'll try to take him in the first round. So maybe that's where I could see a team try to slide in and get Ty if he doesn't get drafted earlier. You never know. I mean, the Steelers don't have an answer from Aaron Rodgers yet, at least publicly. He hasn't committed to being back. And so their quarterback right now would be Will Howard, the, I think, 6th-round pick, national champion from Ohio State from a year or 2 ago. So do the Steelers look to him at 21? Do they trade back and take him? So I think it's very possible he goes in the first round. I also wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the second round.
Well, and what you just mentioned, that's what – I mean, we're going back a few years and not saying he'll be this guy. That's what the Ravens did with Lamar, right? They moved back to the 32nd spot, got him, and obviously they've been set at quarterback ever since. So when you think of fit, what would be the best fit for Ty Simpson in terms of the teams that have been rumored out there to have interest in him? I know the Rams, maybe early on, there was a little bit of something with that, but then they trade pick 29. I think that we would all agree would be a great landing spot for him. But Cardinals, Jets, Steelers, where do you think he would fit in the best?
Not the Jets. Don't go to the Jets.
Well, no, the Jets are terrible.
That's where quarterback dreams go to die, frankly.
Yeah, that in Cleveland, yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget, I mean, there is a bit of a lineage with former Alabama quarterbacks in the New York Jets.
True.
Joe Namath, of course. But on these airwaves,
Greg McElroy.
Greg McElroy.
That's right.
Yeah.
One-time New York Jet himself. So anyway, just a few.
Don't
few
put that
years
out
ago.
there, Nick. We don't need that. We don't need that juju out there for Thursday.
Oh, to be fair, there's been a lot of quarterbacks that have been Jets.
Yes, there have.
And most of them have been terrible.
of late, especially.
Yeah.
So who knows? It could work just fine. I think at this point, just a bit. I've got a good friend who's a Jets fan too. I like to give him a hard time, but yeah, I mean the Jets could be a good fit. I mean the Cardinals could make sense. I mean, I don't know. I mean the Steelers. So full disclosure, I'm a Steelers fan. Like I grew up a Steelers fan. I think we've talked about this before, and at this point, I just don't know that Aaron Rodgers at what is he 42, 43? I mean, they need to start. Like they've been in quarterback no man's land for a bit now with Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. I mean, like if you would have told me years ago,
Justin Fields
in middle school that like Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger would have been their quarterbacks all within like 5 years of each other, I've been like, what on earth? That's awesome.
Yeah.
It has not been awesome. They've won some games, but at some point, I'm just like, get a quarterback for the future. I liked what Ty brings, so he could make a lot of sense.
It's just so hard. You talk about the pro throws, and especially in the first half of the season and some of the precision we saw and fitting it into those tight windows. And that was all, let's be honest, that was all Ty Simpson. That was a lot, whether he's running for his life. Ty Simpson was making plays. But it's not just the tangibles, it's the intangibles. We see some of the quarterbacks that have been taken in the first round of the past, Nick. How do you really go – if you've done your homework on a guy like Ty, how do you not take him in the first round?
I mean, I'm a Ty Simpson believer, and that part of that is I've sat in the meeting room that he was in from elementary school on at UT Martin. I've been to these places that essentially taught him football and seen it firsthand and spent a lot of time with his dad, Jason Simpson, when I was there, and the people that were around him and the people that helped develop him. And you just see, like, I mean, it was such a great, like, Martin, Tennessee was faith family football is what it's all about. And that's the environment that brought him up. And he's not alone in that. Other people have too. But I just think when you're a guy who eats, sleeps, and breathes football the way he does and knows what he does, and you mix enough talent in there, like, I mean, there's a lot to like. And I'd be surprised if he doesn't have some kind of decent length NFL career. Maybe it's not as a starter. Maybe it's as a backup. But I just think he's too smart and has enough talent to go with that football knowledge that I think you want him in your building.
You know, there's so many questions about Ty, and I keep reading this from scouts, you know, talking about the fact that, you know, he just haven't had a lot of starts at the college level. And then you look back at how his numbers and production fell off towards the back end of the year. But my goodness gracious, you cover this team on a daily basis, and you can tell that the physicality of that season, especially towards the back end, when he got injured, and they kind of kept that hush-hush, but he lost all the weight. They didn't have a running game. Everybody was pinning their ears back, coming after him. I'm impressed by his makeup now body-wise, and when I see the clips of whether it was the Combine or whether it's with John Gruden, I've been impressed by the way that he's been able to put that weight back on, and maybe that end of the season is not indicative of what the player that he potentially could be in the NFL.
Yeah, and that in part will probably be a reason that some scouts teams are concerned, just because anytime a guy has injuries.
I mean, you saw it. He was like, what, 180, 185 towards the end of the season?
He got real skinny. I mean, because, yeah, I think he had you mentioned to me, like, the elbow issue. He had the
he could only soup or something at one point? Or?
Yeah, like, I think at a certain point, when you're dealing with all these injuries and, you know, you have inflammation and you're trying to take things to help with that, like, at a certain point that doesn't – I mean, when you take medicine for one thing, it leads to other issues, and just, yeah, without trying to play doctor here, it definitely, I think, took a toll on him physically, and you would hope that he would get a little more help than I think he did down the stretch last year. But at the same time, it's just so hard to project because there's so many pieces that they try to put an NFL team together. But again, I think he's got a lot of good things, and to me, I would draft on that potential and not just focusing on the way the season ended, because when he was healthy and when he had support and good things like that, like, it went really well at times.
So is it fair, because I think a lot of people would go naturally if you were comparing recent quarterbacks and the concept of, well, he only has one season of starts. Him and Mac Jones, when Mac Jones came out, I know they won a national championship and he had better receiving talent around him,
Just a
better
bit.
skill. Yeah, just a little bit. How would you compare them coming out of college? Because for me personally, looking at Ty, I think Ty is maybe a better NFL prospect coming out than Mac was.
Yeah, maybe so. And I didn't cover Mac. I got here the next season. But I think you just have to look at how Ty did more with less at times. And I think we just
No doubt.
assume it's Alabama, so he's got all this talent. But that offensive line had all kinds of issues. There was no running game. Receiving play was inconsistent at times. I mean, just, again, Ty he's not completely absolved from issues, he's part of it, but at the same time, Mac Jones we go down the list of all the first round picks and players that he had.
He had a
around
running
him.
game.
He had a running game. I mean,
Yeah.
well, that team was just awesome, period. So much talent there. And yeah, I mean, Ty you look at the highlight reel, like he makes some throws that look like NFL throws. And I don't want to speak to Mac as much because I haven't studied Mac in that way or covered Mac that way, but Ty certainly makes NFL throws.
If you are looking here in the Birmingham area, you're looking for something great to eat, whether it's going through the drive-thru, whether it's dining in or catering your next event, how about our friends at Crafts? Crafts got a beautiful new location right there on Highway 280 in Mountain Brook. It's near the Hollywood Boulevard exit. If you're familiar with the area, you're coming into Birmingham. But there at Crafts, you're going to find not only the world-famous fried chicken that was started right here. The recipe came from Alabamians. It's all made by Alabamians every single day. But the stick to your rib sides, like the homemade squash casserole, the macaroni and cheese, the rice and gravy, you name it, they got it. They got all kinds of wraps, salads, other options besides just the chicken and the made-from-scratch sauces. Don't forget about the drive-through breakfast. If you want to cater your next event and everybody always brings the same old thing from the same old place, we'll try something different. Great Alabamians, and it's Crafts. Crafts Highway 280, that's the newest location in Mountain Brook. Find out more, you can go to craftsbhm.com. That's craftsbhm.com, and always tell them Landrum and the folks from Jocks sent you.
When we come back on Three Man Front, we'll continue our conversation with Nick Kelly. We'll talk about spring practice for Alabama football and Kalen DeBoer. That's next on Three Man Front. It is 11:34. We are live here at Social Taco. Come on by and see us. Got a couple seats remaining here on the Taco Terrace. Nick Kelly has brought out another big crowd. Way to go, Nick.
I would say not many seats left. I mean, get them all you can.
What was it like opening for Morgan Wallen the other night?
You know, it was surreal.
Yeah.
Almost felt like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Maybe because it didn't happen.
Yeah, well.
But
So did you get asked to walk out before Coach Saban did? Nah.
they went down the list of Knicks, and I was busy. I was in Huntsville, so I was not able to make it.
Okay.
So had to go to another Nick on the list.
Okay. All right, let's talk about spring football. And I know so much work is done behind the scenes and based on, the AD scrimmage or whatever the case may be. There were other things that haven't. Matter of fact, they had 2 more practices after the spring game on Saturday. But the overall theme to you, Nick, what was the theme from this football team? Was it the offensive line development, the quarterback battle, offensive, playmakers? Just what were some of the big headlines, takeaways for you?
Yeah, I think let's start with quarterbacks.
Okay.
To me, it was an interesting saga of it didn't feel like there had been separation in any way prior to A-Day. And if anything, that meant that, I probably said in this show, that probably meant that the pecking order right now seems to be the same of, hey, most veteran guy, Austin Mack, is front of the line. He was going first with the offense, taking the most reps. And I honestly expected them to be on a more similar level on A-Day. But it was Keelan Russell's day, and it wasn't close. And Austin Mack, of course, had some good moments. And I'm not crowning Keelan the starter just based on A-Day. But it certainly was – you didn't have to be some quarterback savant to know that Keelan Russell had a really nice day. Wasn't perfect, but he made a lot of plays and just looked like a playmaker, just a game-changing kind of quarterback. So that, of course, leads to overreactions and people ready to crown him. And I still think that as long as he does more of what he did that day, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. But it's far from over. I think that he'll have to keep doing that. And Austin Mack, I'm sure, will bounce back as well, too. And so, to me, it was just interesting that there was such a clear, wow, Keelan Russell had such a good day that, again, you weren't, pulling apart a thread here trying to figure out who had a better day. It was clearly Keelan's day.
If you're going and you're comparing the two, though, Nick, and we know the upside of Keelan, because he's got a different skill set than a lot of players, not just Austin Mack. But what are the true differences in those two players as we speak right now without knowing anything else besides experience?
Yeah, to me it's a few things. One, I've talked to people who've worked with both of them who say that, Keelan has the talent advantage. He is a special talent, and his ceiling is very high. Austin, though, he's a bit of a gamer, and he does really well in some settings that require competition. And so that's one thing that I've heard. And then you also talk about Keelan Russell. I think the biggest difference, and Ryan Grubb said this, Keelan Russell can move. And it's not that Austin Mack can't move. He's not a statue back there, but Keelan Russell has –
Move.
Yeah, seriously. Him on the move is also impressive. And several of his touchdowns on A-Day were him rolling out, waiting for the guy to get open, throwing the ball in that small little window. And it's not that Austin can't do that, but clearly Keelan is comfortable in that way. And I think that Keelan getting on the edge, and of course we couldn't see the full effect of him running because it was A-Day. They weren't tackling him. But when you saw a guy who looked comfortable and knew what he was doing when he was essentially going toward the line of scrimmage, whether he was going to pass or run, like he certainly looked part of a guy that you don't want to see in the open field. So that is a difference. That doesn't mean that he has to start, but that is a clear difference to me between him and Austin Mack.
So I want to get your thoughts on the run game and not is it going to be better than last year, because it can't be much worse, right?
Please tell us it's going to be better.
Yeah, surely it's going to be better, right? But we didn't get to see Crowell. That's what everybody wants to say. I don't like that look that's on his face.
Yeah, Nick did not jump in immediately and
Do
say,
not
no,
like
it's
the
gonna
look
be
that
great.
was on your face.
I didn't cut you off.
So no, you did not. No, you did not. But so Crowell, we didn't get to see him. He's been held out. But Daniel Hill, Kevin Riley, AKD are those guys that are coming back. Did anybody impress you in terms of, wow, that guy looks different than he was last year? That looks like a guy that's ready to maybe contribute at a higher level in that run game.
Daniel Hill looked better. He looked better, in my opinion, than he had at times.
He slimmed
last
up
year.
a little bit, right?
Yeah, he slimmed up.
Okay.
I mean, he had a few
he's
nice
still
runs.
big, but
yeah,
I mean
he's never going to be that quick scat back.
Right.
But he is a guy who, in my opinion, could certainly help. But we haven't seen them have a difference-making running back, like a true game-changer type running back. And to me, that's what they need to get back. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is probably the last one they really had, and that was 2022. So you need I think they have serviceable and decent running backs, but until we see someone prove to us that, hey, this guy is a difference maker, he can really have an impact, I need to see it to believe it. And I'm encouraged by Daniel Hill's improvement. I'm encouraged what Kevin Riley could do another year in the program, and A.K. Deere as well. But I went to school in the Show Me State. I am of the mindset, you got to show it to me. I haven't seen it yet firsthand. Then again, I'm not at practice every day. So I'm still in wait-and-see mode. I'm not saying they won't have that, but I also can't confidently say they will have that.
Let's talk about the offensive line. You've got a situation where you make a change. DeBoer fires his offensive line coach, bring in a new O-line coach. Basically, you got a couple pieces left over from the last year's team. But, man, you made that a priority out of the transfer portal, bringing in a lot of dudes. What was your feeling once spring camp ended, where the current status of this offensive line is? I'm not asking for the depth chart or who's going to play where, but is this going to be an offensive line that's going to be able to protect whoever the quarterback is? And can they make holes for that running game that was non-existent last year?
Yeah, I'll be real with you guys. I'm concerned still.
Okay.
I am. I don't feel drastically better or it's going to be drastically better at this point. It still could be. Fall's a long ways away. And these guys still have time to gel. They're still working on that together. But I'd be lying to you if I said that I feel great about it right now, or I feel confident that it's going to be a strength for this team. It still could be. They still could come together and surprise, but nothing during A-Day made me feel drastically better about the offensive line. And they brought in a lot of guys, but at the same time, I don't know if they brought in elite players necessarily either. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm in wait-and-see mode. I'm not ruling out improvement, but I also can't confidently say that I feel a lot better about that O-line.
So based on what you've seen so far, let's say we get maybe halfway through the season, who do you think they will miss the most that left in the portal? Would it be a Horton, a Formby, a James Smith on the defensive line? I had to throw that one in there. I'm sorry.
I mean, Texas A&M seems excited about Wilkin Formby, but no, I don't know that Wilkin Formby even starts if he's still at Bama this year.
Shouldn't have.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe Horton. I think he's a good player, and I wouldn't have minded keeping him. But
that one surprised me. I thought that Horton would have been one of those guys, and I'm not in the locker room, so maybe there's another reason, but just his skill set, I thought he provided height, length. I mean, he brought something to that wide receiver room that they don't have in Coleman Williams or Jeremy Bernard last year.
Yeah, and now that they don't have Noah Rogers for a good bit either, you would really like to have an Isaiah Horton type. I don't think it's a case if they can't replace him. I think that I'm really high on Sadarian Morgan, see what he can do. I mean, that dude does not look like a freshman. I think he's going to help them a lot, and we'll kind of see in what role and how much. But Derek Meadows, I've heard good things about too.
Yeah.
In his next year with the program, and so I don't know if it's irreplaceable, but I think that is the one guy that I still think was a good player, and I'm not that I'm losing sleep over them losing him, but I think he could have helped this team.
So it's safe to say, I guess, out of the guys that left, there's nobody that jumped out at you as a, man, they're going to really miss that guy in the fall. Not to say they're not good players, but
yeah, not that I can think of. I mean,
you didn't lose Caleb Downs in the portal.
No,
you
I mean,
know
that's the only. Truthfully, that is the only portal loss that I can think of during the DeBoer era that I would say, man, would have been nice if they kept him. Am I forgetting someone? I mean,
I know. I think
they've had, like, there's been churn.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's truly a player that's been like, man, he was so good. Like I miss covering Caleb Downs because he was a fun player to watch play football. But no, I can't think of anyone else.
It would have been fun to see where Julian Sand would have fit in during this whole transition
Sure.
and his growth. But no, I agree with you.
But you barely
Caleb.
got to know him because he was here for 3 days. But
Right.
Caleb
Four
Downs.
days.
4 days. You're sorry.
No, I'm kidding. He was there for a couple weeks, I think. A
Couple
Yeah, that
practices,
was
right?
it. It was very short.
Which that, like we talked about before, but that Rose Bowl practice where they had Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson, Tyler Buckner, Eli Holstein,
Oh,
Dylan
Tyler
Lonergan,
Buckner.
and Julian Sand. Like, how wild is that? They had all the quarterbacks together at one time. I mean, like, say what you will about each one, but each one has started
Yeah.
a college football game.
And very unique skill sets, and across a lot of them.
Yeah, what a unique and eclectic group.
When we come back with Nick Kelly, we'll talk about the defensive side of the ball for Alabama. Defensive line, could they make a huge impact for this Tide team coming up in 2026? That's all straight ahead on Jocks. We are back live at Social Taco. Great crowd. Come on by and see us. We'll make room for you here on the Taco Terrace. Social Taco here in Homewood. Nick Kelly from AL.com covers the Alabama Crimson Tide. He joins us here live on set at Social Taco. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball for Alabama football. And rave reviews, the people that I talked to down at Tuscaloosa, and you've been on our show last couple of weeks, the transfer portal guys that they brought in on the defensive line, those guys seem to impress a lot of people during spring ball.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. And we talk about Devin Tompkins, Desmond Umezulu. I mean, two guys that are older, and as you said, transfers to the USC guys. Frankly, South Carolina and Southern Cal, that I think can help this defense. I mean, they're not perfect, but I do think they're going to do some really nice things and be some versatile pieces. Whereas like Tompkins, you can move him between the three technique, and you can also kind of have him on the edge,
right,
as that bandit defensive end. And Umezulu, you can put on the defensive line, but you can also have him rush off the edge with the Wolf linebackers. And so you can get Yanze Pierre and Dez on the field at the same time to have them rush off the edge. And so I really think that some versatile pieces, I think the staff is excited about what these guys are going to bring. And, yeah, they're going to keep developing them and see how they fit in. But just a lot of older talent, veteran guys who bring some size and some speed, some good things.
What position group do you think if they had to do over again, they would have gone back in the portal and said, yeah, we probably need to spend a little bit more here?
Talking defensively?
Or
just
offensively.
Period?
Yeah. Because I would think that every staff's got those in retrospect. Now, especially with no spring portal.
Right. I would say probably offensive line and running back still. I mean, of course, we don't have to relive the Hollywood Smothers saga, but they tried and it just fell apart for whatever reason. So I think that, yeah, you would maybe like a proven running back who you think can just have that X factor ability. But you can't say they didn't try. So
right.
it certainly was on their radar. But an offensive line, too. They got guys, but I'm not convinced yet that any of them they got in the portal are elite offensive linemen. To me, the two best on the offensive line this year are likely going to be Jackson Lloyd, Michael Carroll, and maybe Will Sanders at that left guard spot. All returners. Now, they weren't all starters, but they are returners. So the guys that got in the portal have potential. They absolutely had to fill those spots, but I'm not convinced those are blue chip elite players yet necessarily. I need to see more before I make that declaration. So you may be, but then again, every program. I was texting with an offensive coordinator at another program a couple weeks ago, and saying that everyone wants offensive linemen, and they would all love to be able to have new offensive linemen, top-level offensive linemen. So this is not an Alabama problem. This is everywhere where I think there's a shortage of good offensive linemen.
So what's your confidence level right now in the linebackers? Because you got guys like Woodson coming in through the portal. You got some guys that have been around the program but don't have a lot of experience. Where are you right now with the middle of the defense?
Yeah, I've heard some really good things about Caleb Woodson. I think he's going to step in and be a good player for them in the middle of the defense. And then next to him, I think, is the question as to who steps up. QB Reese, I think, had a really good spring from what I heard. And you also look at Luke Metz, being a guy who impressed me during the A-Day game. And I think that there's a real world where you see a platoon of sorts. I mean, that's what they did. I mean, Kane Womack will play multiple guys at positions if they're deserving of playing time. Keeps guys fresh. It helps develop guys for, say, if a player leaves, and then they have some game experience. Leave as in next year, whatever it might be, or go to the draft, whatever it might be. So I think that, yeah, you could see multiple inside linebackers there, but QB Reese and Luke Metz, to me, are probably the top two options right now. And I feel pretty good about them. I'm not saying they're going to be elite. Again, I need to see more, but I've heard some good things. I liked what I saw from Luke Metz, especially during the A-Day game.
All right, before we let you go, we kind of ask everyone we talk to that covers certain teams. This is April. It can change. Guys could get injured during off-season workouts, whatever the case may be. But as we convene in Tampa, Florida for SEC Media Days, and when that vote takes place, and we've done an incredible job as media picking the right teams that's going to win this conference.
We're the best at it.
Absolutely. It's uncanny, the numbers.
We never miss.
Never, ever. What do you think? Where is Alabama in the pecking order once that final voting comes in?
I would guess around 4.
Okay.
There's maybe even if just for some Bama bias, so to speak, of like it's Alabama. It's going to be hard to put them lower. Then let's just say my Missouri Tigers, as the Missouri grad I am, like obviously they're not going to get that same bump. But that's the thing with Alabama. This team could go anywhere between. Nothing would shock me between 10-2 and 7-5. Like that is the range. Like I could. I mean, 7-5.
The 7 number.
That'd be very concerning, obviously, and that to me is if a lot of things go wrong. but I could easily see this team go 10-2
But
as
it's
well.
also a 9-game SEC schedule.
Right.
I mean,
right.
folks need to remember that.
Teams are not going to go 11-1 or 12-0 like occasionally some teams would under Nick Saban. Like that is just not. I mean, so much has to go right for that to happen. So 10-2 is a phenomenal season, and that in the same way, if you have a few things not go your way, a few last-second plays don't go your way, you can look up and you're 7-5. And so, again, things can convince me this team's going to be good. Things can convince me that I have reason to be worried about this team, and it's not going to work. So it depends on which day you ask me, what thing you want to talk about. So that's my take.
Well, we used to gauge it and judge it SEC championship game. Who's going to be in the SEC championship game? Now that game could be going away. It's all about the college football portal if we expand. And if you take it and you look at basketball being in that top tier, whether it's that 1 through 6 now or whatever, 1 through 5, just being there, I think that we all have to kind of do a reset in how we judge these seasons.
Completely.
Because
Completely.
the context has totally changed.
Nick, thank you. Always great to see you.
Always enjoy it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks
Nick,
for
you're awesome.
stopping by. That is Nick Kelly from AL.com. More Three Man Front live from Social Taco.